It's time to take a look at Merlin from Journey Beyond Sodor, and this custom was made by HiroTheJapaneseTrain. He's made a number of other customs for me, however this is the only Journey Beyond Sodor custom that he did for me. All the others are being handled by Wong Village, as you've probably already seen or are going to see in the next couple of days. So Merlin is one of the experimental engines. He was voiced by a famous actor named Hugh Bonneville in the film, sort of like how Ryan was voiced by Eddie Redmayne in Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. Merlin seems to be a pretty popular character as well. He's definitely my favorite of the experimental engines, and I thought that he was a bit underused in the film. That's just my opinion, but I really like sort of his thought process of, you know, if he just emits a lot of steam, he'll suddenly become invisible, and it's really adorable, and it's honestly just really funny. So I'm a big fan of Merlin. That's probably why, you know, he was one of the first Journey Beyond Sodor customs that I had commissioned, and he actually appeared in an episode of my series, which was a big first for me because I had never used a completely custom character or, you know, model of a character in my series before. So I took a big leap there. It sounded, you know, it seems like, you know, the reaction to that was mostly positive. But anyway, sort of getting off topic here, let's get back to Merlin himself. So this custom was made, like I said, by HiroTheJapaneseTrain. It was actually made from an old style wooden railway Gordon. So if we look underneath here, obviously we see it's Merlin made by HiroTheJapaneseTrain, but the underneath, where the wheels are, you can see it's totally blue. It kind of looks a little bit weird because upright, Merlin is all nice and silver, but underneath, there's just this blue paint. And that's because the main body here, and the tender as well, come from an old style Gordon. So there's been a lot of, you know, custom changes and modifications that have gone along here. Here the JapaneseTrain added, you know, I guess what you would call them, you know, smoke deflectors. He also added, you know, the 3 additional funnels, or I should say the 2 additional funnels, but he had to modify this original one here. But so these 3 ones were added, and then he had to modify the 3rd one. It just looks like it's a piece of paper that's kind of been wound up, or I don't know. It's a very simple modification though. But then there was a lot of painting that went on with this custom. If I spin it around this way, obviously, you know, Merlin has a couple of different colors you have to deal with. This may look a little bit fuzzy, but it actually does say Merlin on there. The wheels are nice and bright and shiny. I think that's a clear nail polish that a couple of different users use nowadays, and really just makes the model look awesome. That says Merlin again. We have his number 783. Just a really nice custom overall, and he has the number on the front there. And the face is from the Adventures model, and that was primarily done because when this custom was sent to me, which was back in like August or September, right after the movie came out, the only version available at the time was the Adventures version. I guess the Trackmaster version might have come out, or it was pretty close to being out, but what I'm saying is that the wood version had not been released yet. You know, Merlin was he was sort of like one of the 2nd tier engines, and they didn't get around to releasing him right away. So that's actually the Adventures face that you see there, and if you don't believe me, let me bring in an Adventures version of Merlin. And I actually really like the Adventures face. I have a wood version of Merlin here, which I will try to keep off screen for as much as possible, but as you can see, if we'll focus here, there is a wood version of Merlin, and the face is okay. It looks a little bit angry to me, though, for some reason. So that's why I didn't come along and add the wood face. I was actually more satisfied with the Adventures face, and they're relatively the same size, so that wasn't going to be an issue. A fun fact, when HiroTheJapaneseTrain originally sent this to me, it was actually a Rheneas face, like a 2012 or 2013 Rheneas face, and he redid the eyebrows a little bit, and it was actually, I mean, it was a pretty good custom face, and I was just planning on using that one until a couple of days before HiroTheJapaneseTrain sent this to me. I went out and bought an Adventures Merlin and made the face swap pretty quickly. So little fun fact there, the placeholder face for Merlin was actually Rheneas' face with just some minor modifications. So this is Merlin's tender, it's from Gordon, or it's a representation of Gordon's tender, the basis is. So there was a little bit of custom work that went along here. You can kind of see, where the cutting went along. And I think I'm just guessing he got the tender right. He was even kind enough to put some buffer details and the coupling on the back there. So underneath you can clearly see that it says Gordon's tender. It's just a really funny, weird contrast when you flip it over and you see the blue paint underneath. But the silver that he used is just really bright and it shines super well. Yeah, Merlin is extremely impressive in my opinion. Again, a pretty, complex, intricate model, kind of like Theo was. And honestly, all three of the experimental engines, just because they're so weird, they were, unique in their own ways. But here the Japanese train had to come along with these smoke deflectors, which look like cardboard to me, honestly. I hope I'm right on that. Hopefully here the Japanese train will correct me if I'm wrong. But there's even just more details, like he got the whistle over there and he got the cab windows. And I remember when I asked him to do this custom, I just said, you know what, picture a normal Thomas Wooden Railway Merlin in terms of details and just go off of that. Don't try to get all fancy, with pretty much what I was saying is don't worry about the windows here or the whistle or even, the name on the side there or even, the silver along there. But he kind of went above and beyond and did it anyway, which is totally fine. But I really appreciate him taking the time and the effort to do that. So, yeah, Merlin, I really like Merlin. Not going to lie, he's probably my favorite of the experimental engines, and I think HiroTheJapaneseTrain just did an excellent job of, combining all of the best elements. We get a bogeyed version of Merlin, unlike the wood version, which is kind of shrunk down. The face is excellent. The three funnels look amazing. The wheels, they are just so shiny. It's hard to believe how shiny they are. And then he came along with the 783, which is hand done, by the way. Some of the people that do customs for me prefer to print out the decals or, print out whatever, needs to be done and then apply it that way, which is totally fine. But this was actually done by hand, and I actually think he did a really good job of making, looks pretty symmetrical to me. So no complaints from me. Merlin looks awesome, and like I mentioned earlier, I've featured him in an episode of my series. In terms of, Merlin in the future of my series, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of expecting the experimental engines just to stay on the mainland for now, but since the mainland's just a bridge away from Sodor, I wouldn't be surprised if they pop in here or there. So I guess that's really all I have to say about Merlin. Just a really fantastic custom. HiroTheJapaneseTrain did an excellent job, and he was working on this before Journey Beyond Sodor came out, so he had to do it off of promo pictures and everything, which is just even more impressive when you think about it. So the next two Journey Beyond Sodor customs are going to be made by Wong Village, but HiroTheJapaneseTrain, he made his own version of Merlin way before the movie came out, like around like when the trailer dropped. I think that he worked on it hard and he completed it. So when I saw what an excellent job he'd done, I immediately commissioned him just to make me one because I wanted to have one in my collection because it looks really nice. So this is sort of the oddball out in this series of videos when it comes to the custom JBS engines, just because Merlin was made separately and then I had Wong Village come along and make the rest for me. So however, the styles are pretty similar when I look at them off to the side here. It's not like you can definitely tell they were made by somebody else. So I think if they ever show up on screen together at the same time, the main hope and purpose is that they look like an actual, as close to an actual official Thomas Wooden Railway product. And I think that's really been accomplished here. So big thanks to HiroTheJapaneseTrain for making this custom for me. I put a link to his channel in the description and in the comments below, and let me know what you guys think about Merlin. To me, he looks really awesome and fantastic. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I really like making these videos and just kind of showing off the hard work and effort that other people have put into the customs, and I just kind of get to show them off and show the world everything that they've done. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you on the next custom Thomas Wooden Railway model video.